The next person I want to bring up on stage is a member of the aforementioned core working group. Remember, their budget governance proposal will be coming next week. Make sure to vote on that. And here we have Matt Levine's favorite Slurf. He was the subject of a bunch of libelous comments from one of the better financial writers around, I think. Slorg, how you doing? How does it feel to have hit the mainstream?
Yeah, feels pretty good, I guess. I didn't expect it to happen that way, but
First
really hard to predict the future.
Ever mentioned by Matt and ever.
Yeah, that's it. It's a lot. It's a night of firsts today, folks. And the first slug I'd ever get mentioned in Money Stuff is here to talk about how the DAO feedback went in after the round one. So Slorg, what kind of changes can we expect before round two?
Yeah, so just to give some context and to catch everyone up, after the first LFG round, we solicited and we accepted feedback via a forum post that got, I think, almost 100 replies and 3,000 views, and also a town hall that I think about 300 DAO members attended, and we spoke to them, we let them up on stage, and we got their feedback on what they thought of the process. And based on that, we combed everything, we compiled everything together before discussing it as a working group. And as a consequence of this, we then arrived at a few potential changes to the process. The first issue was, how do we want to handle the projects who didn't launch? So there were 4 of them: Uprock, Sourceful, MonkeyDex, and Banks. Banks decided to go ahead and do their own thing, and they're going to launch anyway, leaving 3. So how do we handle projects like these in the context of the continued process going forward? The DAO's recommendation was some sort of hybrid between making them start fresh all over again on the forum, or being able to continue contingent on reaching a certain percent in the vote, in which case they would progress automatically to the next round. So we took that as the core working group and decided to add shape to these ideas. And our current thinking seems to be that if a project reaches over 10% of the vote, they would automatically be reintroduced into the subsequent round and have their material from the prior round kept up. But this could only happen one time before they're kicked back to the forum stage. Kind of like a redemption almost. And then projects under 10% of the vote would just start back at the forum stage completely fresh. The other change in regards to that would be that for the AMAs, we would suggest but not mandate that the highlight of those AMAs would be changes implemented since, lessons learned, and project updates, rather than starting all over again with the information we already went over. However, for this round, this upcoming round, we're thinking of grandfathering in the 3 who didn't win the last vote, just because we want to ensure that there's informed consent going on right now, right? Because we don't want to subject them to this rule that they didn't even know about. So just to make things fair. So that was sort of the first big thing. And then the second thing was the DAO had a few miscellaneous concerns, and you can read more of them on the forum post I made, but 2 I'll highlight in particular are, 1, blind voting. So the idea is that people think voting should be blind in the sense that no one knows the current results of the vote. And it's not a bad premise by any means. However, the working group really wants to have 3 full votes under our belt before we decide to make any significant changes to the voting dynamic. I think it's tempting to change things significantly, but we don't really have any base rate at all to compare things to. So it'd be kind of just like shooting in the dark based on assumptions. However, if over time we do deem this is a significant detriment to the voting process, I think we're very open to exploring options for this. And in particular, we'll reevaluate after the 3rd vote benchmark. And secondly, and just to wrap things up, and probably the most requested items, we're making a couple things more accessible. So these included things like linking to the governance platform on the main site, because currently you need to go through 2 separate sites to reach it. And as Sochi mentioned about 20 minutes ago, making the fact that you voted more prominent, because some people felt it wasn't obvious enough that their vote was marked. And I have some good news in regards to these items. Both of these things will be implemented by the next vote. We're likely going to repeat this in-depth feedback process to the same extent for the next 3 to 5 votes, but we'll generally accept feedback indefinitely.
That's what we like to see, getting better as a community here. It's only a DAO if people participate and make their voices heard. So thank you to all the 100 people that did leave comments. Hopefully next time we get even more feedback that can help improve this. Jupiter can fix it. Yes, he can. Shout out to Cryptic and the rest of them. Mia, what do you think of the DAO process here?
I mean, I just say that like a really big shout out to Slorg and the CWG, man, for like just relentlessly being the most community focused people I've seen. I think one of the things that I'm learning in a very real time way is working with the community. Like the sub incident yesterday was actually a pretty good example. I felt like definitely a situation whereby I could have talked a lot more with the community before making some comments.
Do you mind giving a little bit of context in case people didn't follow along?
I think people are following is fine, but I think the main thing I'll say is like working in the community has been really tough because there's so many diverse opinions. I think it has been really great seeing Slorg and guys in practice and they're learning from them. I personally just learned a lot from their willingness to engage and listen and work on stuff. So big credit to them.
Cool. All right, that is it for the LFG portion of the show.